What is going on, everybody? This is NYG Jeffy T85, and I'm here with some of the keys for a New York Giants victory and starting the season out to an early 2-0 start as the New York Giants play the Carolina Panthers Sunday at MetLife Stadium for their home opener. Some of the keys for this New York Giants to be able to defeat a team like the Carolina Panthers, who they did show some positive signs for the Panthers, but they also struggled as well in some of the key departments that the Giants can use as game plan to exploit that Carolina Panthers defense as well as their offense going to this game and the home opener, which should be an absolutely ruckus crowd for the New York Giants, as this is going to be the first time the New York Giants are going to be going into their home opener with a record above 500, as this is the first time the New York Giants are 1-0 and above 500 since 2016, and that was the last year the New York Giants ended up making the playoffs when they were 10-6 during that Odell Beckham year, and obviously we know all about the infamous boat trip that happened when the Giants lost that game against the Green Bay Packers back in 2016. Now, the Carolina Panthers are a team right now. They do have some solid offensive weapons on their team. Obviously, you think about a guy like Christian McCaffrey, whom, similar to Saquon Barkley, is a guy that can be a dual-threat running back, be able to be a guy that can run up the middle, be able to lower his shoulder, be able to go north and south, but also be a guy that can exploit the middle of the field or even be used occasionally on a wheel route or a screen pass in the passing game, and could be that dual-threat running back that can get you close to 150, possibly even close to 200 yards all-purpose during the game. And, of course, a couple of some of the other players on that team that could be deadly weapons. Can't forget about a guy like DJ Moore, the wide receiver who's going to be mainly in the slot, or he could play on the outside. And he's a guy that's been a multiple thousand-yard receiver. And then, of course, you have a guy like Robbie Anderson, who is pretty much the guy that could take the top off the defense for any team. And the Carolina Panthers are no doubt, if they give their quarterback enough time, they're going to be able to throw the ball down the field and allow a guy like Robbie Anderson to get those big catches for the New York Giants. So obviously one of the keys to the New York Giants be able to win this game is they have to do exactly what they did in the Tennessee Titans game, and that's be able to run the ball. The New York Giants have to be able to start this game and run out through the entire game, dictating the pace of play on the offensive line, as well as being able to have Saquon Barkley be able to run up the middle and be able to get that running back game going like they did against the Titans. Saquon Barkley was able to run for at least 164 yards, and he got a touchdown on that game as well. Saquon Barkley also almost had 200 yards all-purpose in that first week against the Tennessee Titans, and there's no doubt the New York Giants are going to be looking for Saquon Barkley to do an encore performance in front of that MetLife home crowd in New Jersey for the New York Giants. So one of the biggest keys for this New York Giants team is obviously being able to run the ball on offense. The Giants are once again going to be going for the rotational aspect of that left guard position, as both Ben Bredeson and Joshua Ezeudu rotated snaps to that left guard position. So expect that to happen throughout the game, and maybe Brian Daboll, as the game goes on, he's going to play the hot hand when it comes to seeing who might get the most snaps in that game going forward. Whether it's Ezeudu or Bredeson, in my opinion, I'd rather see Ezeudu. I think Ezeudu fits more of what Bobby Johnson is looking for in his offensive lineman. I think he's a very good run-blocking offensive lineman. The problem is he's still very weak and still trying to get himself going as a rookie, trying to learn how to pass protect, as he did have some breakdowns in pass protection and he did whiff on some of his run blocks. But you have to let this young guy be able to go out there and learn on the fly and see if he can be able to improve his run blocking as well as his pass protecting. And as well as we know about Andrew Thomas and Evan Neal, those two guys are brick walls right now on the outside the tackle position. We'll see what happens with Glowinski. He looked for most of the game pretty solid, but he did struggle at times at the right guard position. And of course, John Feliciano, who we all know has been named one of those dirt bags by Bobby Johnson. We have to see how this offensive line is going to be able to run block, and if Saquon Barkley is going to run with that same edge and that same attitude that he did in that first week against the Titans. So I'm expecting the Giants to continue to run that running game up the middle for this team going into that game. Now, the second key for this New York Giants team going forward is they have to become better when it comes to their coverage in the middle of that field. And I'm talking about the safeties as well as the linebackers. The New York Giants got torched in that first game against the Titans, as running back slash fullback Justin Hilliard pretty much torched them for 2 touchdowns in the middle of that field against guys like Tay Crowder and Austin Calitro. So the New York Giants are going to have to get better when it comes to their coverage in the middle of the field with their linebackers, and occasionally if they bring a safety down to, play a little bit of coverage in the middle of the field. Luckily, the New York Giants are going to be getting Dane Belton, the rookie 4th-round pick out of Iowa. He's going to be making his season debut, and he's more known for being a very, very solid coverage safety in the middle of the field. So he's going to add to that defense going forward. Wouldn't be surprised if the New York Giants add some 3 safety looks going up against this Carolina Panthers offense. So the New York Giants are going to have to become a better team when it comes to their middle of the field coverage, especially their inside linebackers. So the New York Giants have to make sure that they have more discipline and they play better coverage in the middle of the field, because you could easily see a guy like a DJ Moore or even a Christian McCaffrey, the 2 biggest weapons on that Carolina Panthers offense, being used in the slot, or in Christian McCaffrey's case, being used split on the outside, or being able to come out of the backfield and exploit the middle of that field if the linebackers are late to pick up the read in the middle of that field. So the New York Giants have to be able to get that going and be able to shore up that part of their defense going forward. As we know, Wink Martindale loves to blitz these guys. He loves sending those blitz on the outside, but he's also trusting his linebackers and his secondary to be able to play better coverage in the back end of that field. Most of the time it worked in terms of the pass rush getting home, as well as being able to play solid coverage, but the New York Giants have got to play better when it comes to their linebacker and safety play in the middle of the field. One of my other next keys, obviously, we all know about what Wink Martindale does. My 3rd key for this game, the New York Giants have to get more pressure on Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield is a guy that is only 6 foot. He's 6 foot, 6'1", and the New York Giants, one of the biggest reasons why the New York Giants were able to pull off that victory against Ryan Tannehill and the Titans, is the New York Giants consistently played good outside run defense, as well as the New York Giants defenders like O'Shane Ximines, Jahad Ward, DJ Davidson, Nick Williams, Justin Ellis, Leonard Williams, Dexter Lawrence, those guys in the middle of that defense in the outside linebacker position, they consistently put their hands up like this. They put their hands up and they made sure they knocked and batted the ball down to make sure that those throws over the middle of the field would occur. So the New York Giants have to become better and put their hands up and make Baker Mayfield try to throw the ball either sideways away from the defenders, or try to make them throw the ball above some of these larger and taller defenders, as well as the New York Giants have to get better when it comes to their pass rush. The New York Giants, one of the things that the outside linebackers struggled with is the Giants didn't get a consistent pass rush against Ryan Tannehill. And Baker Mayfield, while he is a guy that is consistently turnover prone, as his first game of the career of his season, he had an interception, as well as I believe he had a fumble against the Cleveland Browns this past week. So the New York Giants have to be able to get more consistent pressure on on Baker Mayfield, as well as the fact that this Carolina Panthers offensive line is not really that good right now. The Panthers offensive line struggled a lot when it came to the game against the Cleveland Browns, as they gave up 4 sacks during that game, 5 tackles for loss, and 7 hurries. The Carolina Panthers offensive line is still a work in progress. They didn't do really well when it comes to their overall blocking in front of Baker Mayfield. So if the Giants can consistently get pass rushing on the outside or in the middle of their field and try to make Baker Mayfield scramble out of the pocket and make errant throws, it's going to lead to the advantage for the New York Giants, and it's going to lead to possible turnovers for that Giants defense going forward. So, and obviously we know Kayvon Thibodeau and Azeez Ojulari right now are listed as doubtful, and really it doesn't look good that they're both going to be able to be out in the field and play this Sunday. So the New York Giants are going to have to get more of a pass rush from guys like O'Shane Ximines, Jahad Ward, Timon Fox, and Quincy Roche at that outside linebacker position, as well as get some inside pressure from Leonard Williams and Dexter Lawrence to be able to make Baker Mayfield's entire game uncomfortable and throw out that offensive line of the Carolina Panthers. So that's my 3rd key of this game for the New York Giants, is they need to make sure they get consistent pressure on They need to get consistent pressure and make Baker Mayfield scramble out of that pocket and make errant throws going forward. Now, my next key to the New York Giants game is obviously the return game. The New York Giants, one of the biggest reasons why this Giants team were able to have good field position going forward is the Giants return game, for the first time in a while, able to put their team in good field position for the Giants offense to be able to operate a lot easier. And I give a lot of credit to a guy like Richie James, who the New York Giants signed this offseason, and Richie James really made his presence felt, not only in the receiving game as he led the team with 8 targets, including 6 catches for about 59 yards, but he also was a guy that really helped out that return game for the New York Giants, and he put the team in very solid field position, whether it was about the 30 or 40-yard line of their own field, or even sometimes got over the 50-yard line, and put that Giants offense in position where they could be able to take advantage of the other team's defense and be able to get some points a lot easier from what they had previously. So I think that the special teams aspect, especially the return game for the New York Giants, is going to play a big role, as special teams always seems to rear their ugly head in any of these games. So expect the New York Giants to be able to improve on their special teams and be able to put the Carolina Panthers in an uncomfortable situation with some solid returns, and that of course includes coverage for the New York Giants, as well as being able to do some blocking, good blocking on their special teams unit, to allow a guy like Richie James to be able to have some open lanes to get the New York Giants in solid field position to be able to have their offense operate a lot better. And my last key to the game, I talked about in the first game, I'm going to talk about it again, and that of course is Daniel Jones and this wide receiver core stepping up and being able to make more plays than they did in the first game. Now, Daniel Jones by no means had a bad game at all. I thought Daniel Jones had a solid game, not spectacular, but he had a solid game in his first game against the Tennessee Titans. He had about 21 passes, 17 completions for about 115 quarterback rating, which is actually pretty solid. He had 2 touchdowns and an interception during that game. He also was a guy who was able to scramble out of the pocket at times and be able to get the New York Giants in position to be able to get good field position for this offense going forward. But unfortunately, the New York Giants didn't get a whole lot of contributions from their wide receiver core, namely guys like Kenny Golladay, Kadarius Toney, Sterling Shepard, and some of their other key guys, as the New York Giants offense sort of struggled in terms of the passing game, but that also had a lot to do with the Tennessee Titans wreaking havoc on that New York Giants offensive line, as Jeffrey Simmons was able to get 2 or 3 sacks, as well as some tackles for loss during the first half of the game yesterday, and the offensive line did get a little bit better, but the offense in general, when it comes to the passing game aspect, didn't do a whole lot. So I'm expecting if that offensive line could play a little bit better in this game, expect to see the New York Giants passing game be able to open things up, especially if the Carolina Panthers and guys like, Jeremy Chin, as well as Shaq Thompson and some of those other guys on that Carolina Panthers defense start to play a little bit more on the box and try to prevent Saquon Barkley from rushing over 100 yards, and that New York Giants offense in general rushing over 100 yards, as the Giants as a rushing team were able to get over 230 yards rushing during that game against the Tennessee Titans. So the Titans are definitely going to make Daniel Jones be the guy to beat them. And then it's a question of the receivers. Sterling Shepard, he had two catches for 71 yards and that touchdown. Mainly was a blocking receiver during that game. Richie James, as I said, out of the wide receivers, he led the team with 6 targets and he had 5 catches for 59 yards. Kenny Golladay only had 2 catches for 22 yards on 2 targets. Expect that to increase. Wan'Dale Robinson only had 1 catch for 5 yards. He's not even playing this Sunday due to the knee injury. Darius Slayton did not even play in the first game. He was inactive. I expect him to be out there this game, especially with the injury to Wan'Dale Robinson and with Kadarius Toney being questionable right now for the second game. Even if he plays, would not be shocked if the New York Giants only play him a limited amount of snaps, depending on how his hamstring is doing. So the New York Giants passing game and Daniel Jones might have to be a little bit better and more effective going into this second game against the Carolina Panthers. But I expect the New York Giants offense to be able to come out and play more effective against the Carolina Panthers defense. While I think they are solid overall, there's no reason to think why this New York Giants offense, with the talent they have, and especially the way they're run blocking and the offensive line, and especially the way that Saquon Barkley was playing in that first game, there's no reason to think the Giants can't score some points against this Carolina Panthers team going forward. So, and in my final prediction for the New York Giants, I really believe the Giants are riding on a whole lot of momentum right now. The New York Giants are going to be coming into a very raucous MetLife Stadium for their home opener. The team is over 500 for the first time since 2016, and I really expect the New York Giants to be able to feed off this energy and be able to defend their home turf and come out with a victory this Sunday against the Carolina Panthers. I'm going with the final score of 28 21. New York Giants start their season 2-0, and I believe Daniel Jones will be the catalyst of this game, as I believe Daniel Jones is going to pass for at least close to 300 yards in this game, and I believe guys like Sterling Shepard and Kenny Golladay on the offensive side of the field will lead this team, as I'm sure Brian Daboll and Mike Kafka want to get their big receivers more involved in this game. I would even throw in a guy like Kadarius Toney if he's going to be in there. And, of course, Saquon Barkley will get his in this game going forward. So those are just some of my keys to the game for the New York Giants to be able to come out with a victory against the Carolina Panthers this Sunday and start their season 2-0 to begin this season going forward. To recap my keys to the game, I have the New York Giants trying to be able to run the ball consistently with Saquon Barkley, as well as that run-blocking offensive line. Continue what they do and stick with the main game plan for the like they did in the first game. So the New York Giants, I expect them to go out there and play more to their run style and see if they can get Saquon Barkley going early in this game. For the second key I have the New York Giants being better when it comes to their coverage in the middle of the field, namely their inside linebackers and their safeties, to be able to not have what happened in that first game when the New York Giants were giving up a couple of big plays in the middle of the field, including Hilliard of the Tennessee Titans scoring a couple of touchdowns. So expect guys like Austin Calitro, Tay Crowder, and some of the safeties be able to come in and do a better job and make some adjustments from what happened in that first week. And it's going to be a good welcome sign to get the rookie Dane Belton back in there to help out with that safety coverage, as I would not be surprised if Wink Martindale is going to deploy a whole bunch of 3 safety looks for this defense against the Panthers. My third key to the game I had going forward, apply as much pressure as you can on Baker Mayfield and make him uncomfortable in the pocket, as well as exploit that Carolina Panthers offensive line right now and make Baker Mayfield uncomfortable and make him go out there and possibly throw a turnover on the field. So I think that's a key, big time key, is Baker Mayfield struggles when it comes to throwing the ball above the receivers, above the defensive line and linebackers' hands. Baker Mayfield's only a 6-foot quarterback, and the New York Giants did an excellent job sticking their hands up and batting the ball down going forward. So I expect the New York Giants to be able to do with that same strategy, keep their hands up and make Baker Mayfield either throw the ball on the run, throw the ball sidearm, or try to get the ball over some of those bigger defensive linemen's hands going forward. So I expect that to be part of the game plan going forward as well. My next key, obviously in my other keys to the game, I had the New York Giants passing game stepping up and trying to be able to dictate more of this game going forward. Daniel Jones and the wide receivers have got to step up more when it comes to their play on the field. So the New York Giants, I think they're going to be having more of a passing precedence in this game going forward, especially with the fact that the Carolina Panthers are going to look at the game tape in week 1 and they're going to want to try to slow down Saquon Barkley and stack that box and try to make Daniel Jones and his receivers beat them over the top. So I would not be surprised if Daniel Jones and the wide receivers are a big reason why this New York Giants team is able to go over there and be able to pull off the victory for this team going forward. And, of course, limit the turnovers. The New York Giants have to make sure they play a disciplined football game and try to limit those turnovers, as well as be able to put their team in good when it comes to their special teams, put this team in good field position going forward with Richie James, and also good punt coverage, kick coverage, and well as good blocking for when Richie James and that offense, special teams, need to get the ball into good territory for that New York Giants offense. So that's just my keys to the game for the New York Giants pulling off a victory against the Tennessee Titans this Sunday. So if you guys like this video, please hit the like button below. Subscribe if you haven't already to NYGJeffyT85 for more keys to the game for a victory for the New York Giants, as well as turn on the bell for notifications on the next New York Giants video or short that's going to drop on the channel. And let me know in the comment section if you agree with some of the keys that I put out there in this video this Sunday morning. And if you guys believe that there's some other keys that the New York Giants might need to do to pull off a victory this Sunday against the Carolina Panthers and start their season 2-0 for the first time in a very long time. So I hope everybody enjoys the rest of your weekend. Let's go New York Football Giants. Let's bring it everybody, on that home crowd in MetLife. Bring the noise like Wink Martindale says. Get loud, get proud. Let's go in there and let's pull off a victory and make our MetLife New York Giants fans go home happy this Sunday against the Carolina Panthers and defend our home turf. Everybody have a fantastic weekend. Let's go New York Football Giants. Together Blue, everyone.